What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Major Keys podcast with your host, Zach Wilson, talking to keyboard players about music and life and everything in between. And today, as always, we have a special guest, Mr. Mike Hicks. How we doing, bro?
Man, I'm great, fam. Thank you for having me.
Man, absolutely. Yeah, like I was telling you, this is just a podcast talking to keyboard players about their start in their life and all that good stuff. So, yeah, let's do a short intro about you and like yourself, and then we'll start, and then we'll go back to the top, like how you got started playing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my name is Mike Hicks. I live in, right outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Middle Tennessee has been home for me for the past 23, almost 4 years. Um, Keyboard player, producer, singer, songwriter, all of those things, touring, sessions, church, a lot of what you hear um, from other working professionals. So I'm happy to be here, and you're looking forward to this conversation.
Oh yeah, man, it's gonna be chill. So yeah, man, how did you get started in music, and how did you get started playing keys?
Um, Music for me, as a child, my dad would always play. Um, I always hear him playing Stevie Wonder commissioned, uh, the Winans, a lot of gospel music. And my dad was my pastor growing up. Mom was a choir director, and I'm from Georgia, so in the middle of
Oh,
Georgia.
dope.
Yeah,
Where
Georgia.
in Middle Georgia?
I'm from Warner Robins,
I'm
Georgia.
from Perry, bro.
Hey,
I had
fam,
no I had no idea. Yeah, I'm from
come
Perry.
on. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I grew up in Warner Robins. My mom did a lot of stuff in Macon and in the Middle Georgia community, and she had a choir when I was young, called the Mountain Movers, and they did they did a record, and she, I never really wanted to play. I started out writing in just between poetry and lyrics. Um, my cousin turned me on to Outkast and Goody Mob,
Okay.
middle school, and just their writing reminded me of what I loved about like Stevie Wonder's writing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go and print out their lyrics and just dissect them.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a folder in my room of just all these Outkast and Goody Mob lyrics, and my mom found that folder. And to this day, I'm so grateful for her mindset and her mentality. Um, she wasn't the biggest fan of it, but she, rather than saying don't engage in this, it was more so let's redirect. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, I got this choir. It's all young people. I want to do a record with songs written by young people. Since you seem to like lyricism, write me some lyrics. And so the first the record they did, I think it may have been 12 or 13 songs, and I wrote probably 10 of them.
Oh wow. How old were you at this time?
I was around
Okay, all right.
14, 15. And that record was produced by Joe Pace, who
Okay.
was hot on the scene with the Colorado Mass Choir at the time,
Yeah.
stirring up the gift and whatnot. And so that was kind of what got me into the music bug. In terms of playing, what happened was more so just off of the inability to explain to other musicians what I was hearing in my head. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'd write lyrics with something in mind, but didn't have a way to say this is how it goes, and I wasn't
Yeah.
singing at the time either. And so that forced me to sit down at a keyboard and just kind of pick away at it until it made sense. And then I guess not long after that, I started playing in church, and the rest is as they say, history, I guess.
So, so when you found out that you liked lyricism and listening to words and all that, did you? So were you growing up and writing this music knowing that you wanted to be a songwriter, or did you want to do something else and then that was just like something else that you like to do on the side?
I mean, like a lot of young boys, I thought for sure I was headed to the NBA. So it was just something. It was just something on the side for a while,
Okay.
and I didn't like at the time. I didn't know any professional, like full time musicians. Like this is what they did.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing for real. And songwriting, I definitely didn't know how viable of a career that could be. I thought you just wrote songs and some folks recorded it and put out a record and
And that was
yeah,
it.
the credits, yeah. And so I didn't really that didn't become a thing for me until college, really.
Okay. Did you well let me go back before we go into college.
Mhm.
So you're 14 writing these songs for this record. Did it seem like second nature to you, or was it like what were the challenges during then? Because like when you think about it, like a ninth grader writing a song for like a whole record, or the majority of a record is kind of like a big feat in a way. Did it seem like that at the time? Like, did you kind of know what you were getting yourself into?
No, it seemed like it that was very much second nature. It
Okay.
was more so just writing like poetry.
Yeah.
Uh, and I knew I had a love for language and uh, I really I love studying songwriters um, whose music I like, and so it didn't seem like much of anything for me. The labor was actually in the musical part of it,
Okay.
uh, because I didn't know like how to communicate that. And so some of the songs, like I think one of the songs I wrote for the record, they um they had a competition. My mom had a competition between the different sections in the choir, so the altos, sopranos, and tenors.
Mm-hmm.
They were given my lyrics and had to come up with. They came up with the music,
Ah, okay.
and so it was three different presentations. I think the I think the tenors based what they were doing off of an Outcast beat,
Okay.
and the altos did something that was really churchy. Sopranos, a friend of mine who uh, who was playing at the time, this young lady, she's incredible. She was helping the sopranos out, and they came up with this really musical thing. But the altos ended up winning out, and so it was kind of this churchy vibe. I didn't love it, and so for me, that was kind of the thing of okay, cool. Right now, you're at the mercy of whoever
Yeah.
is playing, um, and so if you want to have a little more control over how your stuff sounds, you need to learn how to play it.
Got you. So you were self-taught learning how to play.
Yep.
Got you. And like, did you have any like mentors or anything? Like, how are you teaching yourself?
So it started out for me just picking out um just picking out songs, and because my mother worked so closely with choirs, I always had an ear for parts, and so for a long time I was just playing the parts that I was hearing in the song. Like I'd pick out the soprano part, the alto
Hmm.
part, just play that in my right hand and then dole it in my left hand.
Yeah.
And um and so that was kind of a thing. And my mother would she'd call different people in the area, different musicians, like, hey, Mike, play this, and I'd be playing for them over the phone. It was somewhat embarrassing, but
Hmm.
to this day, my mom was the same way. Hey, play this for such and such over the phone, and and there were a few people. One, the lady who was a minister of music at the church that my father pastored, her name is Sonia Jenkins, and she kind of took me under her wing and would let me play with the youth choir alongside her. So I was playing like aux stuff. I didn't
Okay.
know
Yeah.
at the time. And then once she started seeing that, okay, he's picking stuff up and he's learning, and she showed me stuff. Then there would be times where we'd have a like a baptismal service every second Sunday evening,
Hmm.
and I'll never forget there was a time where, let's say it started at 6:30.
Hmm.
I'm at the church, my dad, and she's not there yet, and it's about 6:25, and so I get a phone call. They're like, "Hey, Mike, um, Sister Jenkins is on the phone for you." I'm like, okay, cool. And she was just like, "You got it tonight."
You got it tonight.
I was like, "What you mean?
It's just,
I'm not gonna be there." So you got it. And my initial thought was, you couldn't tell me that like an hour ago at least.
hmm.
But had she told me an hour earlier, I probably would have found some kind of sickness to have
Yeah. Do you think she did that on purpose?
for
Like,
sure.
didn't like waited right until 6:28 or whatever to tell you? Yeah.
100%, 100%, and I love her to this day. She's incredible. She was my first mentor,
Hmm.
in terms of playing for sure. And then there were a
Yeah.
couple. There was a guy named Jamie Brown, who still lives in Macon, I think. Um,
Okay.
at the time, he was playing at Beulah Land with Pastor Dewey Smith
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah.
there at the time. So he was a big. He played for my mom's group, and
Okay.
he'd sit me down and show me a lot of stuff,
Hmm.
during those formative years.
Got you. So that day that your mentor put you on the spot. How old were you at that time?
At that point, I was probably 16.
Okay. So when she put you on the spot like that, did the service go well? Like, did it go like okay?
It went. Um, in terms of going well, I had a lot of support. It
Okay.
uh, it it was it was probably cute. Like,
It's just like, oh, okay, he can play
yeah,
a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And my brother was on drums. My younger brother, he's almost exactly 5 years younger than me,
Okay.
and so it was it was uncomfortably comfortable. So,
Interesting, man. Interesting. Um, okay, so you playing in well, dabbling kind of in high school.
hmm
So you go to college. So I'm going to guess that you didn't go to college for music, or
no,
did you? Yeah.
I mean, so when I graduated high school, I did really well in high school.
Uh-huh.
I knew how to do high school. Is really about test taking.
Yeah.
I wasn't really diligent when it came to doing like homework and all of that stuff. But I knew if I do well on the test, then that's what's reflected in the grades. Yada yada yada. You do well in school, then
Hmm.
automatically the next thing is you're supposed to go to college. And I didn't really know. I didn't have a clue of what I was going for. So I thought I wanted to be an engineer, audio engineer,
Okay.
and I had a scholarship to University of Miami, but didn't go because that was far from home, and
Hmm.
my mama wasn't feeling it.
Okay. Yeah.
She reached out and found out about Belmont in Nashville. Was an excellent music program. It's also extraordinarily expensive.
Hmm.
In Middle Tennessee State University, right outside of Nashville. And I ended up going there, and they had a program called the Recording Industry Program, where you could, at the time, take a track that would lead you into production and technology or business management. And so I went production and technology, um, as a way of being around the process of creating music without taking without majoring in music.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah.
So I want to know when was the turn that you were like, you know what, I want to play keys for real, or like I want to do this like really go head on about it.
It was right in it was right around probably my latter years, like my junior senior year of high school into college.
Mm,
I started playing a lot more. I started playing at a different church, at a small church where there'd be 20 to 25 people maybe
yeah.
on Sunday, and so it gave me a chance to go and be terrible,
Hmm.
um, but also sharpen my skills and hone my craft and ability, and even high school that I went to, Warner Robins High School, was within walking distance from the church that my dad was pastoring. And so
Okay.
I'd walk there after school and just shed.
What
You know,
church was this? I think I know, Union Grove.
Union Grove for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Because I was like Warner Robins. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I know. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's nothing but a 5-10 minute walk.
yeah. My dad pastored there for a while, um, and so I'd walk down and go in the sanctuary and play, and that's where I spent a lot of my time. And so I knew I wanted to do something in terms of making music.
Okay.
When I got to college, I ran into some other musicians, and it was like, oh, okay, I'm not I'm not good at all.
Mm.
Like I'm not even like this is crazy. And so I have to make a decision either to find something else to do, or I need to get good.
Yeah. Find something
So
else to do or get better.
exactly. And so that was a thing in that my freshman year in college. I think anybody who knows me from college, I I think the predominant um, memory is me sitting in at the piano in the dorm lobby playing
Mhm.
and playing and playing and playing, and that was a turning point for me for sure.
Got you. Okay. And then that's when you're like, I don't like you didn't know what specifically, but you just knew that you wanted to play and like you wanted to do this for real. Because you're in Nashville. I don't know what part of Nashville this is, but like Nashville is the music city.
For sure.
So, um, so from moving from Warner Robins to Nashville, what was that jump like as far as scenery and what you're exposed to? What you because you said that you're around musicians that were like that made you want to get better. But
Yeah.
what was it? Do you know like what it was about them that was like that made you attracted to it more?
Yeah, I didn't so number one, I didn't know what a gig was.
Hmm.
Like I coming up playing some in church, that was really the only thing. Like either play in service or if my mom's choir had a concert or
Hmm.
something like that, then we'd play and that's what it was. But I didn't know what it was to go out and play at a gig or a show. I definitely didn't know what it was to play in a session.
Hmm.
I didn't. And so being exposed to all these things for the first time was completely eye opening. And then the musicians who I met my first year to me were just light years ahead of me in what they knew. Like
Hmm.
one of my best friends and biggest influences to this day, I met my freshman year in college. A guy named Tyrus Sass. He's a band leader for my own artistry, and
Oh, he's your MD.
yeah,
Okay.
in a we can talk about that later.
Okay.
But
Got
I
you.
he was the first person who taught me what a tritone was, and I had no clue of like what that was and how to use it.
Hmm.
And so I think the probably the biggest jump for me happened those first 2 years of college. It's like, okay, I need to learn and I need to learn quick because there are so many people around who are great and who are here for the same reason that I'm here.
Hmm. Got you. Cool. So, all right. So you're learning all that. You graduate college with the audio degree.
Yeah, so I graduated spring '05 with a it was a bachelor's and the emphasis was production and technology.
Hmm.
So yeah, I didn't really have a clue as to what that was going to do for me, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah. So what's your life after that? You stay in Nashville. You start sessioning. You start like what is the because I know where you are now as
Mhm.
one the bridge to okay we just learned about the Nashville music scene to this is your full-time job and your full-time career
Right.
touring with this big group. We'll
Mhm.
get we'll get to that for people that don't know yet. We'll get to it. But like so yeah, like what's the bridge? Like how do we get to here?
Man, I struggled
Mm,
for a while, and it it was somewhat of a, I'd say, a self-imposed struggle. Like it wasn't one of
explain.
those where it wasn't like I was doing all I could and I was just struggling.
Hmm.
No, I was making decisions to practice and shed. I was the minister of music at a church that
Hmm.
gave, I really gave my all to. Um, and in terms of, I speak to younger musicians now about the difference between payment and reward,
Mm,
compensation and reward. And in terms of compensation, it wasn't close to what my time was worth. I spent
hmm.
like a lot of time. However, in terms of the rewarding element of it, so many things that I learned during that time, I still employ every single day now. And so I spent a lot of time um, shedding, playing, writing, um, playing at church when, you know, the reality was I could have gone and gotten a job like like a for real 9 to 5 and done some stuff and started moving in
Yeah.
that kind of trajectory. But I just didn't. And so um, I was getting better. I was learning. I was growing in that sense. But I was staying in a terrible apartment.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, I'll never forget. I was in a rehearsal with someone who I was really looking up to at the time, who I still look up to. A guy named Leon Timbo. Was a great artist, and my first time getting a chance to play with him came up for a rehearsal at the house, and in the middle of rehearsal, my electricity got cut off.
Ah man.
And so, it was just it was times like that of you know struggling, not having a lot of food, not having hardly any money.
Hmm.
But it wasn't because it wasn't just because um, life was just beating me down.
Hmm.
Some of that was self imposed. I could have made better choices and decisions for sure.
Hmm.
But
Got
yeah, so I struggled for a while, and then I guess maybe around in if I graduated '05, I think around '08 is when I started my band,
you. Okay.
and s- stuff started to shift then.
Okay. As in starting to shift, as in like, okay, like you're being recognized for you're like, oh, he can sing, he can play keys. Like that sort of like you getting like known around the city. Is that what you mean by starting to shift?
I so I learned a lot from watching friends of mine who were musical directors and band leaders, and
Hmm.
so I got a chance to work with a group. It was a husband and wife team at the time, group called The Light, and I wrote a lot of music for them and with them,
Mm-hmm.
and they were getting a lot of opportunities to go out, play, and do their thing. And so, as their musical director, I started pouring all of my creativity into them.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the course of time, I realized, like, okay, I'm starting to get really frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
And really, the core and the source of the frustration was you need to be putting your creativity into
Mm-hmm.
your own thing
Right.
and stop. Like, I was trying to do me through them.
Oh, got you. Okay.
So, so starting my band was the avenue of me doing me.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the time I was starting to be known a little bit as a musician and as a musical director. Just the recognition that came with doing stuff with them was cool. Um, but doing my own thing kind of put me in a different light.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, he sings too, and he's a band leader of a massive unit. Um, and so some of it was really just the visibility
Mm-hmm.
that started opening doors.
Got you. And you were just doing that around Nashville, and
Yeah,
just and that's when the thing started to pop off.
for sure.
So you're leading your own band.
Mhm.
Um, what was it like selecting the musicians, and how was it doing your first project, like your first project?
It was the musicians came from just friends of mine.
Yeah.
Uh, my guy Tyrus from college. They were all college friends,
Mm-hmm.
and like when Tyrus was musical director for certain artists, he had a squad that he was using. A guy named
Mm-hmm.
Walter Harrison on bass, Colin Hinkie, Bernard Bell on drums.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so for me, it just made sense to start there.
Mm-hmm.
So I grabbed those two.
Yeah.
And, some other guys who I knew from college,
Mm-hmm.
and um, my brother on background vocals, and a couple other friends of mine. And and then I knew one guy from the church that I was playing at, uh, who played saxophone. And so
Mm-hmm.
I asked him to put a horn section together for me.
Okay.
So I had a 4 piece horn section, and those guys kind of just became the unit, and that kind of became the sound for me,
Mm-hmm.
for my own thing. And so it started being like, hey, you got to go see Mike play. He's like 13 of them on stage, and it's a big sound, and it's a thing.
Yeah.
So
And what would you describe the style as your first project? But also I want to know like what you learned during the process, because it's like when you do your first project, this is like I know you learn a lot about like scheduling, like budget, overtime, like just depending on like how you I like depending on how you went about it. I know you learned a lot during the first
yeah,
project.
so like the first record of mine that actually came out was really like the third project that I had done. Um,
Okay.
the first project was the church that I was playing for in college. We did a record, and it was my first time ever producing a full project, and and I learned a lot during that thing. And then um, I did an acoustic project that was kind of, hey, I need a way to pay all these people,
Hmm.
and let me let me as cheaply as possible create a project that I can sell as merch.
Yeah.
And so when it came time to do my first full record of my own, oh, and in between the group that I was MDing for, we did an EP on them. That was the
Uh-huh.
first that I had a chance to work with um, certain engineers and musicians, and kind of level up a bit.
Hmm.
And that gave me a glimpse into, okay, this is how I need to do stuff. And that process still informs how I work as a producer today,
Hmm.
because one of the things with independent projects is you rarely, if ever, really deal with a budget for real. It's
Hmm.
kind of like, hey man, this is how much money I have right now.
Yeah.
How much can we do right now with this amount of money?
Hmm.
Yeah. And for me, it really was my first session. I took darn near all the money I had,
Mm.
uh, and even a jar of change to the engineer, like, hey, here is X amount of dollars in change, and I got the rest in cash. This is what I can pay you.
Yeah.
And he's been a great friend to me, and he still is a great friend to me. One of my closest friends, guy named James Waddell here in town. He's got a couple of Grammys under his belt and the whole thing.
Hmm.
Um, but he showed me the ropes a lot in terms of producing, and um, I really learned a lot concerning the caliber of people you work with,
Hmm.
um, putting the right people together. Uh, Also, that thing, and you get what you pay for.
Mm.
So, it's tough as an independent artist to try to make the calls to get the cream of the crop. But you'll learn after you make those, after you get what you can,
Yeah.
and then have to either go back and replace it, and so now you've spent more money,
Hmm.
or you're listening to it and living with it years later, and it's kind of like, that was cool, but not quite it.
Yeah.
Um, but even through that process, I was blessed though, because a lot of the musicians on that record are good friends of mine who were not concerned about the money. For, I would say, probably the majority of them, it was, man, let me pay you in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Like, this is, I want to do the session now, but I can get you down the line, and they were cool, and still a lot of folks, guys and ladies, who I rock with to this day, for
Hmm.
sure.
Nah, most definitely. No, no, no. I get it because I know when I did my first project, which was also partly inspired by you. I'll tell you that story, but but no, it's a process,
For sure.
especially like especially your first time doing it. So I know that you toured with one big group. I want to get there, but I'm like I want to know like what your first touring situation was before you get to them.
Okay. The first tour I ever got a call for was with this group, the Drifters. Um, and it's
Like
kind of,
the Drifters, or is it or is it's not the Drifters that we know?
so it's an offshoot of the Drifters that we know. Uh,
Okay,
One of the members, I don't even know if it was a founding member, but one of the members started going out as the Drifters with an O, um, where the
make sure
drift.
that they don't get sued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're playing all the Drifters music. So we're playing, Boardwalk and doing all this stuff. And that was the first call I got. I thought it was gonna be a life changer. It was ridiculous. It was sheer foolery. Um, and so that was short lived. And then
Did it pay good at least?
I thought so.
Oh, okay.
At the time, I thought so. I wouldn't do it now for that
Like,
money.
what size rooms were y'all doing?
Like event centers, and
Oh,
it
it wasn't it.
nah. But I didn't know anything else.
Yeah. And you were just playing keys? Were you MDing or anything, or were you
No,
just
I was just playing keys. I
yeah?
was just playing keys and struggling. And the bass player, this guy named Rob Curitan, and Brandon Newsom, who's one of the favorite percussionists in town here, who still rocks with me to this day. They kind of coached me through it, and got me through it. But it was awful. And then there was a specialty project that I was doing that I got called for at the last minute a couple of years later. That was it's called the American Soul and Rock and Roll Choir. So it was
Hmm.
um, 9 singers in a rhythm section. And the way I got hooked up with that was my brother was singing on the project, and at the last minute they needed a keyboard player,
Hmm.
uh, and so my name came up, and they gave me a shot, and that was that. And it wasn't that long; it was a few weeks, maybe,
Hmm.
but it was pivotal because it got me to my first like for real touring situation, which was with an artist named Keyz, the blues artist.
Okay.
I think at this point he's 6-time Grammy Award winner or something like that. I don't know,
Okay.
but that was the turning point for my career,
All right.
without question.
So tell me how that became the turning point and how that I guess shifted things more.
Yeah, so I get a call one day. I'm at the house and they're looking for my brother to come sing on a session
Okay.
for a TV show, and he was unavailable. He was working, and I was like, "Yo, he's not here, um, but I'm not doing anything,
Hmm.
so I can come do it." And I'm like, "Well, come on." So I get there, and it's with this guy Kevmo, who I didn't really know much about. I had heard the name, but
Hmm.
I couldn't name you one song or anything.
Hmm.
And so I sang on the session. There was a Fender Rhodes sitting in the corner. So I asked, may I?
This
So
is.
played a little bit,
Hmm.
and he took notice. He had just moved to town. And a couple of weeks later, he called me and was like, "Hey, man, would you be down to come play something? Come play on something?" Sure. So I went, played on this session for him, and it was just two of us. I was playing organ. It was
Hmm.
one song, short song. Song was probably 2 minutes long, and it took almost 4 hours. I never in my life felt so dejected. I've never felt so terrible. I was like,
Man.
I'm I'm garbage. Like I'm trash. And I was like, this dude's never gonna call me again.
Hmm.
But the next week he called and was like, hey man, I'm doing this TV show. I'm doing an underscoring cues for a TV show.
Hmm.
You want to come work with me on that? Of course I do. I'm not doing much of anything else. And I think at the time, I know you're not supposed to say numbers or whatever. I won't. It was
Text me separately.
yeah. I'll
Yeah.
let you know. It
Yeah.
was it was paying more than I mean. It was paying multiples of what I was making per week
Yeah.
doing anything else. And so we started doing that, and over the course of time, we just didn't really enjoy it as much.
Hmm.
And so he was like, you know, I'm gonna let the folks in LA do this, and I'd rather focus my energy on my next tour, and I love
Hmm.
to yada yada yada. And so that was the first tour for real touring situation that I'd had, and that became 6 years of international travel, um, playing all over the place.
Nice.
I think with Kev, I did 49 out of 50 states,
Oof.
uh, and all over Europe. We had South America, uh, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, India, um, and so that was, and from there, everything else opened up. Like
Yeah.
once I started playing with him, um, the perception became a different thing, as well as I started having the finances to put into my own stuff in a certain type of way. So
Yeah.
that if I had to name one particular turning point that changed everything for me, it was definitely my time touring with Kevmo.
Got you.
Yeah.
And so does that lead you directly to Rascal Flats, or is there a couple of things in between?
No, so before Rascal Flatts, so around 2016,
Mm-hmm.
I got a call while I was in Boston,
Mm-hmm.
Kev, and I got a call from a friend of mine, Hubert Payne. It's like, hey man, what are you doing tomorrow? I'm like, well, we just finished playing in Boston. Um, I was about to head home. What's up? He's like, can you fly out to LA? Little Big Town. He plays for Little Big Town. Like,
Okay.
look,
All right. All right.
just did a record with Pharrell, and we got some dates coming up, and we need Keyz.
Mm.
Like, brother, I'm there. So flew to LA. And the first show we did was The Voice, and so I did a stint that summer. That was probably 15 to 20 dates with Little Big Town and Pharrell. Uh,
Fun.
yeah, and that was cool. That
Yeah.
was cool. And after that, I spent about 9 months with Johnny Lang, who's another kind of in that blues rock ish world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'd say that time was probably like that's the best I've ever played. Like to this day, I'm still trying to get back to that place as a like as a player.
Okay. Is it
Um,
because the music was like challenging or more involved, quote unquote? Or
uh,
why would
it,
you say that was the best?
so it was when I was with Keb Mo. Keb is very Keb knows what he wants,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's really it can be really strict on. I need you to play this in particular. As a matter of
Okay.
fact, chords are too big. Hey,
Man. Yeah.
just give me those two
Give me the
notes.
try it. Oh, two notes.
Two notes.
Oh,
It's one and a five.
yes, man.
Take the third out.
Whew.
And he's brilliant because and I didn't see it at the time. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But part of what defines the emotion oftentimes is what you do with the third, whether it's a minor or a major.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so he's like, let me define that. And
Oh, because what he played guitar?
yes,
Okay. All right. Okay.
he plays guitar and he does a lot of slide stuff and whatnot. And so it gives him more freedom
Mm.
to control the emotion and the expression. It's just he's a brilliant, brilliant dude. Um, but if you're not mature, you can feel like you're shackled a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't mature. Um, and so when I got to playing with Johnny Lane, Johnny was kind of the opposite. Johnny was like, hey, um, these are the dates, no rehearsal. Um, we'll see you when you get there at sound check. We'll jam and then we'll play the show. And the show is about 2 hours long, spread out over maybe 9 songs. So
Oh, it was one of those types of. Okay, got you.
there's a lot of
So you can,
in the space.
yeah.
And Johnny's also the type to where don't I where we went last night, don't lean on that. Like give me something different tonight. And
Oh,
so
he's one of that. That's one of my types of gigs. That sounds like fun. Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
It was crazy. It was a lot of fun. It was also terrifying having come from a world where there would be songs where I'm playing two notes
Mm-hmm.
the whole time. With this, it
Big
is
shift. Big shift.
yeah. It's like can you sit on B3 for 10 minutes and keep going? Like can you take a solo moment for 10 minutes?
Mm.
It's one of those where it's like, I mean, either you do or you get embarrassed. And so I was with Johnny for a while. Loved it. It was fun. Um, somewhat easy in terms of like it wasn't again like we never rehearsed. Um, the set was what it was, but it was just we go wherever we go.
Mm-hmm.
And then um, One day I got home uh, from a run with Johnny. I was in the airport and saw that I missed a call and checked the voicemail. It's like, hey, Mike Hicks, this is Jim Riley. I'm the musical director and band leader with Rascal Flatts. It's calling to see if you're interested in the gig. And I was a little confused because I didn't know him. I definitely wasn't in that space and in that world. And so, I let my wife hear the voicemail. I don't even think she was just my girl at the time. We weren't engaged or anything.
Hmm.
I so I called him back. This was a Monday,
Hmm.
and I was like, "Hey Jim, what's up, man? I got your message. Blah blah blah. Um, it sounds intriguing. Who's the gig for?" And he was like, "Rascal Flats. Like I'm
Hmm.
calling if you want that gig." I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
I thought his reference point was,
I play in this group. I
uh-huh,
want you to do something else.
yeah."
Yeah.
And so, he was like, it's really straightforward, man. We're getting together Wednesday at Jay DeMarcus' studio, who's one of the members of Rascal Flatts, plays bass
Hmm.
and sings. Plays keys too. He's an incredible musician.
Hmm.
Um, so we're getting together at his place. Come play a few songs with us. If you like it, if it fits, it's yours. And he was like, here's, you know, we do we do probably around 50 shows a year. It's a salary. Here's what the number is. It's kind of simple as that. So we're like, all right. So 2 days later, I went, um, played through some songs. Um, they asked me to step out of the room for a few, talked among themselves, came back, offered me the gig, and that was that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Do
man.
you know how the MD got your number?
He got it from another drummer, I think. I
Mm.
think I I think it was a drummer in town who I'm not sure how he got my number. I don't.
Oh wow.
I'm not sure. Um, but I know it had followed. Who did they have before it? I think they offered it to Dewan Hill
Hmm. I don't
before.
know. I don't, yeah.
Dewan is one of Dewan's. If you don't know Dewan right now, stick around for another year and a half, and he's his trajectory right now is just this. He's got a few Grammys off the last few CC Winans projects
Okay.
that he's written and produced for. He's just a brilliant, brilliant cat and one of Nashville's favorites for sure. But
Got you.
but yeah, for whatever reason, he didn't take it, and
Hmm.
so it came my way, and it was a no brainer for me.
Got you. So touring with that group and like there's such a big magnitude in that space,
Hmm.
especially life is a highway, the song that everyone loves that song. So man, like what is it like doing that sort of gig and getting those sort of, because I know those crowds were probably crazy.
Yeah, my first show with them, it was weird. I went in and did 2 weeks of rehearsal for a, what's the first thing we did? We had a residency in Vegas,
Okay.
and we did 2 weeks of rehearsal. Adam Blackstone came in and put the show together, and within that within that span, we were working on the Vegas show.
Okay.
And then towards the end, it was like, oh yeah, by the way, we got a show this weekend in Maryland. Um, so we need to teach you that set as well because it's a whole different show. It's like, oh snap. And my thought was like, hey, just let me go and y'all go ahead and do what you've been doing.
Hmm.
Check it out. Let me watch it from afar. They're like, oh no, 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 no. Come on. And so my first show with them was in front of I think 20,000,
Mm.
which was new for me.
Yeah.
And it also provided my wife is from up that way, and
Hmm.
so it provided the perfect opportunity for me to propose to her.
Ah, nice.
Because it was like, hey, I want you to go with me because this is my first show with them. It's kind of a big deal.
Hmm.
You kind of need the support and whatever else. But being that her family was up that way, I knew that'd be a big deal. And so my first show with them was hours after I proposed to my
That's a
wife.
busy weekend, bro.
Oh
That's
man.
that's a busy weekend.
Oh, it was wild. It was wild. But the that that gig is it sits at the intersection of all the things I love about every gig that I've played.
Wow.
Uh, in terms of the money's cool.
Hmm.
Um, the people are great. The everybody from the you know quote unquote lowest person on the totem pole all the way up to
Hmm.
the lead singer are all super cool, super great. And then the music is far more involved than I was anticipating coming in.
Hmm.
Like we really, really play.
Yeah.
And and then on top of that, my rig was just a dream rig for me.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Which was like what Oregon roads. Like it was just a little bit. It was a little bit of everything.
So when I got the call, or when they told me when they offered me the gig, I accepted. I got two calls almost immediately. One was from um, management, like the business folks, to get all the paperwork signed in to do all the things, and then one was from my keyboard tech. And this was the first time I had a dedicated tech in that sense.
Dope.
And so he was asking, he's like, "Hey man, you know, I'm your guy. I'll take care of everything for you. What do you like to play? And for me, it's, man, whatever y'all got, whatever, I don't know. Throw me a Nord, I'm fine. Whatever."
Yeah.
Like, no, no, you don't understand what I'm asking.
He's like, Doc, what do you want?
What do you want? And I was like, really, I'm easy. He's like, okay, cool. I see. I'm gonna have to help you. Um, you want to be three? Like that's our starting point. He was like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, yeah, I want to be three. He's like, cool. Like, what type of stuff do you like to play? If you had your own, when you're doing your own thing,
Hmm.
I'm like, man, I'm an organic guy. So Rhodes, Worley, um, clavinet, stage piano, you know. And so he was like, cool. I'll get all of those lined up for you, and we'll make it happen. So
Man.
that was my rig was on my left. It was B3 clavinet, Whirly in front with a at first it was a Chord Grand Stage on top, and then a Yamaha CP88, and then Rhodes to my right with a Prophet on top of it, and then a pedal board.
Woo. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yeah. Yeah, that's what's up. And then like the fact that you're just like, oh man, just give me the Nord, just give me the electro, I'll call it a day. Or like and like they're like, oh no, nah, we can give you the authentic. That's what's up.
Yeah, and it it was great for me, not
Mm.
just in the sense of it looked good and it was fun to play, but it also doubled down on the fact that when they hired me to do me.
Mm. Okay, yeah.
So it wasn't just come in and do what we've been doing. It was no, no, no. We want you to be your authentic self all the way through. And so even
Yeah.
on a gig like that, I had pedals with the B3, and which is like nobody really takes pedals out on a gig on a pop gig
Right.
that's in the way. It's just another piece of gear to lug around.
Hmm.
and at what point are you going to use it? But there were points in the show where it was just me on organ,
Hmm.
and um, and then over the course of time, I'd start singing more with them. Like I came in doing BGVs, but
Okay.
it it started being a thing to where there would be features in the show, um, where I'd sing a lead on a verse, whatever else, and I'm playing, and I have the liberty to really do what I do. So some stuff was just me and them, and it was, hey man, play it how you feel it. And so I got to stretch some and do the thing. It's just a great situation all the way around. Absolutely love it.
Man, that's what's up, bro. All
Yeah.
right, man. Couple of questions that we ask everybody who comes on the podcast. I was debating on whether or not to ask you, but I ask everybody. Worst gig you've ever had?
Worst gig I've ever had is one of my own. Um, I've had terrible gigs with other people, but
Hmm.
the gig some years ago where we rehearsed and it was probably like 20 of us, and I've just had a huge band since day one, so that's not abnormal, but it it just went so terribly bad,
Oh man.
and it was part of it was I was doing too much,
Mm.
but part of it was the logistics and everything with the gig. It was a gig I shouldn't have taken,
Okay.
and it was
Like what made it bad? Was like the sound? Was it like the like
um
y'all just weren't ready or what?
oh, we were ready for sure,
Okay.
no doubt, but sound situation was, awful. The way that the gig worked was something like whoever it'd be like 6 or 7 artists on the bill, and whoever sold the most tickets got to choose where they went in the lineup, and
Hmm.
they told us the wrong time, so half my crew wasn't even there when it was time for us to play. It was awful. It
Oh,
was
that is rough.
it was the worst. It was the worst.
Yikes. Nah, man, that'll do it. That'll do it. Top three keyboard players like that are like legends, and then top three keyboard players that you know. And if you want to keep it safe, if you want to change it to five so you don't exclude anybody, you can do that.
Woo! Okay, top three. I'm gonna okay. I'm gonna start with the legends.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say, my goodness. I think I'm gonna say George Duke.
Hmm.
I think I'm going to say probably Kevin Bond, and then this gonna sound funny to say. To some people, it's gonna sound funny. I think for keyboard players, it may be a little like what? Probably say Corey Henry.
It's fine.
Corey is, yeah, yeah. I'll probably
Gonna
say
put him in the legend status.
I absolutely. I don't see why not at this point.
I
Like,
no no no. I get it. I get it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Like Corey Andy's one of definitely my top three just ever.
yeah, yeah. I think Corey's just incredible. And the tops, I could never. I don't. That's crazy. Um, Three that I know.
Hmm.
My favorite piano player that I know is a guy named David Rogers
Okay.
here in town, and he is like Nord just put up a live sessions thing that they
Oh yeah,
did.
they were in Nashville and they did the lives. Yeah.
Yes, he did. The first one they released is him.
Okay.
Um,
All right. I'm gonna check it out.
yeah, he's a good friend of mine. He's an incredible player. His wife is the the backbone and the core of my string section.
Nice.
Um, so it's just an incredibly musical family, but
Hmm.
he is insane. I mean, he's amazing. Um, the second that I know somebody who I absolutely love to hear play, Daniel Weatherspoon. I'm a I'm a I'm a big Daniel Weatherspoon fan, and I've had the honor and the pleasure of knowing him for a little while now, and then watching him. Like I've had a chance to watch him in studio and watch
Hmm.
him, and he's just a brilliant cat. And then my I think another is a guy named Jeremy Nixon, who's here in Nashville, and he's kind of low key on the radar. He played with CC for a while. I don't know if he's still doing that. I'm not sure, but in terms of just all around, whether you put him on Rhodes or B3 or piano or synth, whatever, he is just a monstrosity all the way around.
Got you.
And I'll leave it there for the debates. I know I'm not thinking about somebody. I know I'm not thinking about a lot of people. So
It's like there are a lot of keyboard players, bro.
there are there
It's just
are
a lot. Yeah, yeah. And like a lot of dope keyboard players, so it is what it is. All right, bro. I know this one stumps everybody. Name or you have an unlimited budget, unlimited availability. This can be a whatever event you want it to be. But build a super group. So this is whoever you want on keys, bass, drums, guitar, horn section. If you want to add strings, whatever. But like essentially rhythm section and like a vocalist.
okay.
But this is you can get anybody from any group, any sort of combination. Only thing is they have to be live.
Okay. Um, on Rhodes, I want James Poyser.
Okay.
I'm a big James Poyser fan. On Oregon, give me Jaden Arnold.
Oh, okay.
Uh, I just think he's brilliant. I never met the young cat, but he's definitely a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
Um, on drums, give me Terrence Clark
Okay.
from from Memphis, Tennessee. He plays for Keith Urban,
Hmm.
and he's a good friend of mine. But give me Terrence Clark. On bass, I will take Pino Palladino.
Woo. All right.
Um, give me. I mean, if it's me, it's gonna have horns involved. So give me Phil Lassiter and whoever he puts together on horns.
Okay.
Feels just insane and incredible. And he's somebody who I've worked with a number of times. So
Nice.
yeah. I love Phil. Ooh, I almost want to renege on bass. I'm gonna leave it at Pino
You
Palladino.
can if you want to.
No. I'm
Or
gonna
if you want to be like, all right, he'll play one half and then you'll have another player play the second half.
I mean, now if I could go down the list on bass players, I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna leave
Okay.
it um, on guitar. Oh, Isaiah Sharkey. I mean, without question,
Yeah, of course.
that's easy and that's quick work.
Yeah.
For, and I have a string section that I use here in town that we call the Funkestra.
Oh, nice.
This 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 has been my crew for over a decade.
Dope.
Um, so I rock with them all the time, and then I love to put all of that behind Michael Kilgore as the artist and the vocalist
Okay.
for sure. Background vocals, I'll take Gerard Woods Imani Wilkins, and uh, I'd flip it. I do something different. I do two dudes. So I do Gerard Woods, Ron Poindexter, and Imani Wilkins. Only because I've worked with the three of them in different capacities, and it's just foolishness.
Gotcha.
But
That's a good
yeah,
group, man.
I I could do that all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, it's a fun question. It's a fun question to ask. It's like, like depends on what style of music you want to go to, whatever. It can go a lot of directions.
Yeah.
All right, last thing, man. What do you want to leave with the people? Words of inspiration, something you want to get off the chest. What do you want to leave with the people? Yeah.
I'll say this. I am, I think it's just because it's the freshest thing on my mind.
Hmm.
Learn to read music,
Mm,
one, and two, and it's not really two, but it's in tandem with go play at a black church where they still serve and have input and influence from older black people.
mm,
To me, that's where the feel comes from. Like a lot of stuff now is, I mean, on one hand, it's really really simple because of the CCM influence and everything else, and some of the pop influence, and that's cool.
mm,
It is what it is. On the other hand, there are certain things where it's like where it takes me a day of shedding to get an intro down because it's just so crazy.
yeah.
Um, all of that is fine, but lost in that is some of the feel that comes from serving people of that generation, of an older generation,
Hmm.
and so I'm like traditional gospel stuff and older stuff is just crucial to me, and not just as a gospel player because I don't really consider myself a gospel dude.
Hmm.
Folks in town do, and I think the white side of the game in town consider me a gospel guy, and
Hmm.
so I get calls to represent that, but that's not really the the black folks in town ain't really calling me as
Hmm.
the guy, which is cool. It is what it is. Um, but just musically, like the way that everything has slanted and been influenced, so much of that comes from the church and comes from those who are connected in a way who still know, James Cleveland songs and Walter Hawkins stuff, and who knows how to sit in a groove at the right space with the right dynamic to reach the older mother in the corner, you
Hmm.
know. And without that, I think there's something that's lost. But on the flip side, the reading piece is just there's a certain tier and a level that's just not accessible without that capacity.
Hmm.
Uh, and then also, it just helps in other situations. Like I just finished a thing last week. Um, there's a new hymnal that's being published,
Mm.
and a companion piece to it that is, hey, scan this QR code, and we have recordings that you can hear that can help you, put it in the context of how you can do this at your church or whatever else. But it's an actual hymnal.
Interesting.
I was playing the companion piece of that, and it was 106 songs, and it's a hymnal. It's
Hmm.
all sheet music,
Yeah.
and I don't read, and so it tore me up. Um, like the stuff is not hard to play,
Yeah.
and it's got chord charts, and I can follow chord charts. You know, it's an F minor nine to a E flat over G, cool, whatever. Um, but there were certain moments where the producer was like, "Hey, on this pass, can you um, follow the melody? In the
Mm-hmm.
second verse?" And every time it was like a scene out of Drumline. Like, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
can follow the melody, sing it right quick.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
got you. Yeah.
when it's written in the sheet music, but that would have saved at least 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
per hymn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I could just if I was able to walk in and just read it, because I'm not saying like playing the melody took 10 minutes to learn, not that, but with every song, it was okay. This one's three flats. Okay, this is an E flat. All right, sing it for me right quick. I'll play the chords. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
whereas it would have been cool. It would have been more efficient to just walk in like, okay, what's the tempo on this? Got it. Count it off. Let's go. And we got through it. We got it done. I'm
Yeah.
grateful for it. It was good work, but um, I would encourage other players out there to do both of those things, and then also just read the room. One of the things that Alan Blackstone pulled me aside and told me early on, because I've worked with him in a number of situations, but um, one of the first day, I think it was the first day of Rascal Flatts rehearsal,
Mm-hmm.
something came up, and I knew I was right, and it wasn't necessarily an argument, but it was just a little back and forth. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm pretty sure the chord is blah 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 whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we took a lunch break. Adam said, "Hey man, can I holler at you right quick?" So shot off outside in the hallway. He was like, "Bro, you're correct, but you can't afford to be right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're brand new. They don't have to have you here.
Right.
It's like you know, right and wrong is a matter of morality.
Mm-hmm.
What we talking about here with this music is a matter of preference. And so if they don't invest that much into it,
Yeah.
you know, serve serve what they asking, and it was crucial. And I appreciate him to this day for looking out, and he's
Mm-hmm.
always been one that's looked out for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Got you, man. Socials.
Uh, Mike Hicks music on IG, on YouTube. I think is Mike Hicks music as well. Just Mike Hicks music or M Hicks music on
Got you.
about everything. So
Got you, man. Appreciate you for being on, man.
man, thank you.
Yeah, y'all go check out Mike Hick's latest project, I Am Who We Are EP. It is available on all streaming platforms.
Thanks.
Follow him, stay up to date with what he's got going on. Thank y'all for tuning into another episode of the Major Keys podcast. We'll see y'all next time. Keep pressing on.